I don't know if it was in response to the reactions that Gen 5 brought, but Generation 6 designs were overall very unique and creative. So let's talk about some of the best ones. Before we begin though, I just want to point out that I'm actually not going to include Mega Evolutions in this episode or in the Worst of Gen 6 video. Instead, I'm going to do a separate video that's all about Mega Evolution, and that'll come out after the Worst of Gen 6. And then to be consistent, I'm also not going to talk about Alolan forms or Ultra Beasts in the Gen 7 reviews. I'll cover those in their own episodes as well. But back to Gen 6. I think the designs got more creative and the level of detail that went into the designs got really good. Like, not only do the designs have more elements, but the amount of thought that went into those details really shows. And I think a fantastic example of this is Braixen. While Fennekin is an adorable but fairly generic Fennec Fox, Braixen has quite a bit going on. The tail is probably the most obvious here, and I didn't notice it at first. But the stick in the tail makes it look like a broomstick, and the stick can also be used as a wand, really emphasizing the witch motif. But Braixen is also one of the few Pokemon that have clothing in their designs without making it obvious. It's in the shape of its fur. It resembles male fashion from England in the 1500s, which just so happens to coincide with the peak of the witch trials. The fur shapes also kind of look like Japanese school uniforms, maybe to suggest that this witch is still in training. And especially in the SHINee form, the way the fur flares out at the legs makes it look like a sort of cartoony witch dress, and I love that there's all of these little things going into the design. Heliolisk is another one like that. It's based on the frilled neck lizard, for obvious reasons, but it's also based on the idea of lizards sunbathing. Lizards are cold-blooded, so they bask in sunlight for warmth, but this one does it for energy, which is kind of the same thing. But Heliolisk isn't just a lizard, it's also a solar power cell. And it's the frill on the neck that really ties it together, because when it's open, it looks like the sun. But it's black, which makes perfect sense since black would be the best color to absorb sunlight, but it also makes it look like a solar eclipse. And then there's Noivern, which is a wyvern, but it's very much a bat too, right? And there's lots of bats in Pokemon, but Noibat and Noivern are the only ones to play on the sound aspect of them. And I mean, isn't sound and echolocation one of the defining features of bats? I mean, Zubat had big ears and no eyes, but that was it. Noivern takes a more Loudred approach to it. It just makes so much sense for a sound-based animal to have a sound motif and actually attack with noise. It's also just a really cool dragon. Do you remember the hype when they first revealed it? The three main Kalos legendaries, Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde, all have their merits, but I think Xerneas is the one that worked out the best. All three of them are based on aspects of Norse mythology. Xerneas has elements of Xerneas, a stag that lives in Valhalla, and a bunch of rivers come from its horns. You can see that in the sort of dewdrops in the horns of the neutral mode. They might also have some inspiration from the forest stags, I won't try to pronounce all of their names, that eat from the leaves of Yggdrasil, the world tree. But I think considering Xerneas is classified as the life Pokemon, it's also fair to see it as a representation of Yggdrasil itself. Yggdrasil is also known as the Tree of Life, and Xerneas' antlers look a lot like branches. Yggdrasil also connects all of the realms of Norse cosmology, and in Xerneas' active mode, the dewdrops extend into colorful horn protrusions that really remind me of the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that connects Asgard to Midgard. But I think the strongest designs of Gen 6 are Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist. They are the quintessential Halloween Pokemon. Oh, I guess I started with Braixen, which is a witch, and I'm finishing with Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist, so I guess this is my Halloween episode. But anyway, these Pokemon are more complex than just being jack-o'-lanterns. Their sizes reflect the vast variation in size of pumpkins and other gourds, from tiny to enormous. They're both black and orange, but with black and purple shinies, and those are the colors of Halloween. But my favorite part is not something I've heard a lot of people talk about. If you focus on the top section of Pumpkaboo, it looks like a bat. It's black, it has wings and sharp fangs. When it evolves, it's definitely not a bat. It becomes taller, more elegant, it has a relatively pale complexion, but it still has sharp fangs because it's a vampire. Thank you for watching today's Pokemon creature design review. I know a lot of people don't like Generation 6 so much, but I think that's more about the games than the designs, right? So let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I'm Umbreon Libris. I'll see you in the next chapter. It just makes so much sense for a sound-based animal. Okay, cancel this one.